Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Enola Holmes is a show that I've seen very briefly. I didn't watch the entirety of it. My daughter ended up watching it with her grandmother and really, really liked the series. So when I saw this game coming out from Gale Force 9, I was like, wow, this is super cool. A gamer's game based on a series my daughter likes. And she's not a huge gamer. She'll play with me, etc. But she's not somebody who will ever ask to play a game. Not normally. Well, when this game came out, she was super excited to play it, and it kind of had that Clue vibe, of course, because it's a Sherlock Holmes series, right? So it kind of had that Clue vibe to it, but it had some additional upgrades to it to make it a little bit more modern. And boy, did they accomplish that. I find this game to be a lot of fun playing this with my children. It looks like a mass market game in this big box. With the aesthetic of the box would be shady at best. But I think that it really works for what you get here, and the game is really fun. It's a deduction game. So it's 1v all. Someone will be playing the bad guy and trying to trip you up, and then the other players will be playing the good guys and trying to solve the crime. The rules were a little tricky for us to get a hang of at first. It was probably us and not the rules, but I think the game works brilliantly. It gave the both sides. I think it's probably more fun to play the good guys and be trying to choose it. But there is a game on the side of the bad guy. As you're placing the cards down, you really have to think about how you want to screw people up and kind of foil their plans of what they're going to do. First time we played through it, we played it incorrectly. We ended up playing it again and kind of getting the rules down, and it worked really, really well. It has that deduction to it without like the roll and move mechanic of, say, Clue, where you just kind of, they're able to play cards from their hand. When do they want to play extra cards? When do they want to burn cards? When do they want to discard cards? So a lot of decisions are going in, which will give you closer and closer to your goal of solving the crime. Excellent use of the IP. Excellent game. We've had a lot of blast with it. 100% would rather play this than Clue. And I'm somebody who actually likes Clue. We don't despise Clue around here. But this one's actually a little bit better and has a really cool Netflix theme attached to it with Enola Holmes. So winner for us and a keeper. So here are the components for Enola Holmes, the Finder of Lost Souls. You're going to have these cards here. You have a bunch of different characters. There's always going to be stills used from the show. And these characters, while not asymmetrical, do have different powers up here. You're going to have these puzzle cards that you'll be placing out on the board. If you notice, they have a little indentation here because they're going to fit just like that so you can see the printed one on there. I think these are a really nice touch. You're going to have standees that you'll be using for the game. No miniatures here. Then you're going to have a number of cards, which will usually have stills from the show on them. They'll either have powers or icons at the top. These are pretty thin, but they're nice enough for what we're trying to accomplish here. You're going to get a really nice insert that's going to fit everything perfectly. A score sheet for your deduction. That's really nice. And then most of the cards are going to have flowers on them from the show with words and colors that you can easily ascertain. The board is very nice. It's really just kind of set these puzzles up and give you spots to go to as you're playing. I found the components to be very, very, very good. And that is something I would give an A+ to. As for the rules, you're going to get a little square box here. So let's take a look at this. Now, when you open this up, it's going to be a job of work. So it's going to be set up over here. Kind of tells you how to walk through everything. And then you'll play the game. This is the sequence of the game. This is what you'll be doing. And then it'll break it down. You'll have special locations, etc. Little tips that'll be kind of thrown in here. And then it'll take you through an entire turn. Tell you what to do in a criminal turn. And then they're going to break down what you do with the different kind of cards. And some clarifications for you. And a summary on the back. You'll probably read this once. It might take you about 15 minutes. And then you'll have the quick start launch, which I think is really, really good. Pictures, pictures, pictures. Everything is right here. It's very, very clear of what you're supposed to be looking at and what you're doing. And I think once you go through the other book one time, this is what you'll be using to reference to. Very good. A+ to have both. But this setup right here, this quick start, is what you'll be referring to most of the time. So what the criminal is going to do is he's going to get 4 of these clues, and he will put these out on the board at any location that he wants to do. Then he will have 6 puzzle cards, and he'll choose 4 of those to kind of play out on the board. You want to make sure all the icons are seen here, as you can tell from that right there. Each player is going to choose a character they want to be, which gives them different icons. And then based on the number of players, they'll draw a number of on the case cards, and the criminal will draw a number of making trouble cards, and you'll be ready to play. On your turn, you're going to place your worker or your person on any one of the puzzles that you want to accomplish. If you're playing with less than 3 detectives, you'll use Mycroft. You can activate these locations. But if you have 3, detectives, which is a 4-player game, you can take your standee and put it on one of these special locations. I'll come back to what these do in a moment. So what you're going to do in a turn, if she is here, she's going to look at these icons, 2 fire and 2 crown. Her character gives her 1 fire. So she already has 1 of the 4 required. Then she'll look through her deck of cards and see what will help her. In this case, maybe she can play 1 to 3 cards. So maybe she'll play another fire. And that might help her out. And then this fire and this crown will help her out. So she's kind of breaking her way through this. Swap clothes with me, adds any 1 talent or icons. So that will give her enough. Well, she'll have the 2 crowns and the 2 fires, and she's played 1 to 3 cards, so she cannot play anymore at this time. Then the criminal will be able to play 2 cards of his choosing. So let's say I played the double magnifying, and let's see, I got the 3 fire here. So I can play up to 2 cards. Then it'll go back to the character that's there. They can look at their hand, and they can play up to 2 more cards. And they're just adding icons at this point, hoping to get 2 crowns, 2 fire, 3 more fire, and 2 magnifying glass. At this point, all the other players can play 1 card to help them out. If he's at this location, which he did, this location gives him 2 of the fire. Each one gives 2 of something different. But he can also add 2 cards instead of 1, hoping to accomplish this. If all the icons match or exceed, the puzzle will be discarded because you accomplished it, and the clue will come out. So in this case, we got a falsehood. So what's happened up here at the top at the beginning of the game is the criminal has chosen from the clue cards crimes that he wanted to put up there in a certain order. Okay, and there's maximum of 3 of each of these cards, so at maximum it could be up there 3 times. So we got a clue on falsehood. So if one of these cards is falsehood, he has to reveal it, but only 1. If there were 2 falsehoods up there, he'd still only reveal 1 card. If later on in the game another clue was found as falsehood, it's the second falsehood we find, there are no more falsehood cards up there, nothing would be flipped over, but the players got some information that there are not 2 falsehoods up there. So they can use their handy dandy detective's notebook to start crossing off options. There are no more falsehoods up there. If later on in the game they were to find a despair, they would put that down here, and you'd have to flip one of those over. If at the end of each turn, after each of the characters have activated, they're going to make a guess. So right now we do falsehoods there and despairs there. They can go ahead and make a guess. And what they'll do is they'll write it down on the notebook. And then, as we did in this example, the criminal person will tell them how many of those are correct. Well, they know 2 is correct. So let's say this answer was 3. They know 1 more of whatever they wrote down, but they may not know which one. You're going to play 4 rounds. At the end of 4 rounds, if they have not guessed it correctly, then the criminal wins. If they do guess it correctly, then the players at the table win. Who should buy this game? This is for fans of the series. If you like the series on Netflix and it's something that you really, really enjoyed, then this will be something that you can add to your collection and play. In addition, if you want a clue-like type of game where it's like you don't have all the roll and move and you're moving around, this will accomplish that goal for you too. And it's a pretty darn good family game. Keeper for us.